You're listening to the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Kendrick, and I'm on a mission to help online business owners like you focus on the right things and take imperfect action. Every week, you'll get my best tips on everything from time management and content creation to planning effectively and managing mindset issues, all in an effort to help you become more productive. So let's jump into this episode. Hey there, friends. Tanya here. Welcome to another episode of the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're diving into something that's absolutely crucial for your success, but it often gets overlooked: mindset. As entrepreneurs, actually as human beings, our mindset quite literally shapes our reality. It guides how we perceive situations, the beliefs we hold, the actions we take, and how we overcome challenges. You might even think of your mindset as the underlying software in the background of your life, because it influences everything. And here's the thing: having the right mindset can drive you to new levels of productivity, profit, and fulfillment in your business. On the other hand, a limited or negative mindset will sabotage your efforts before you even get started. It's that powerful. Now, let me be transparent here. I don't have mindset completely conquered. I often struggle with imposter syndrome and doubt. You know what I mean? It's that inner voice that says, "Who are you to be doing this? You're not qualified or ready yet." Thinking that I'm not ready yet is a big one for me. But I know that those issues hold me back. They can keep me from taking bold actions and going after my biggest goals. So I work on my mindset constantly. And when I say constantly, I mean every day. I have a lot of tips and tricks and hacks that I use, and I'm going to share them all in this episode because I know that a more empowering mindset, one of confidence, resilience, and growth, makes a huge difference. Your mindset determines what you believe is possible for your business and your life. And that is so important for those of us who run solo businesses because everything relies on us. So let's start getting into why mindset is so crucial for entrepreneurial success. As I mentioned, your mindset shapes your entire reality. It's not just in your head, it's your actual experience of the world. And there's actual neuroscience behind this. Your thoughts literally sculpt the physical form and neural pathways in your brain over time. This is called neuroplasticity, and I'll drop a link to an article that goes into that term. It'll be in the show notes. But the gist is that every thought you have activates certain neural pathways, and the more you think a particular thought, the stronger and more entrenched those neural pathways become. It's kind of like hiking on a nature trail. The first few times that someone travels that way, the path isn't very clear and defined. But as more people walk that same route, pretty soon a very clear, solid trail forms. The same thing happens with your thought patterns. The more you think certain thoughts, the more solid and automatic those neural pathways become. So if your predominant thoughts are ones of scarcity, negativity, fear, self-doubt, you're quite literally hardwiring your brain for that reality. Those limiting thoughts will shape your behaviors and perspective, and that affects what you accomplish in your business and in your life. On the flip side, positive, empowering, and uplifting thoughts strengthen neural connections that prime you for growth, abundance, and success. What you think literally becomes reality. Crazy, right? So let me give you some examples of common unhelpful mindsets that can really hold entrepreneurs back. Scarcity thinking is when you operate from a mindset of lack and limitation. There's a perceived lack of time, money, opportunities, resources, etc. This keeps you in a state of anxiety where you're grasping for more instead of embracing what you already have. Perfectionism is striving for an unrealistic standard and holding yourself back from taking action until the conditions are, quote, perfect. Newsflash, it's never going to be perfect. This mindset breeds procrastination and self-criticism. And then there's imposter syndrome. It's that pesky voice in your head that tells you you're a fraud, you don't belong, you're not good enough or qualified enough to do whatever it is that you want to do. This one is so common in the online world. We see all of those social media ads or posts about how successful this person is and how they're making 7 figures. And then we start thinking, well, I'm not such and such, I can't do this. Talk about disempowering. But let's look at the other side. Entrepreneurs who thrive have abundant, resourceful, and resilient mindsets. They operate from a belief that there is enough for everyone to win and succeed. Even if they don't currently have all the resources needed, they tap into creative problem solving and they stay focused on finding a way. A resilient mindset expects obstacles to be a given. In other words, obstacles aren't catastrophes, but inevitable learning curves on the path. Failure isn't met with shame or giving up, but viewed as useful data to adjust your approach. Years ago, I read a book. Well, actually, I listened to the audiobook. Anyway, it's by John Maxwell, and it's called Failing Forward. And it's all about turning mistakes into stepping stones. It really had an impact on my mindset when it comes to resilience and not being afraid to fail. I'll drop a link to that book in the show notes. If you only take one thing away from this episode, let it be this. Your mindset is your choice. You might not be able to control every thought that pops into your head, but you can choose which mindsets and outlooks you want to embody and strengthen over time. Don't get me wrong, it does take conscious effort. Your brain has spent decades developing habitual thought patterns of worry, negativity, and self-criticism. You can't unwind that overnight. Intentionally cultivating a mindset that aligns with your vision and goals is like rewiring your brain from the inside out. But it is possible, and that's why I work on my mindset every day. So one of the biggest roadblocks I see holding people back is deeply ingrained limiting beliefs. These are the unhelpful, often subconscious thoughts and assumptions that instill fear, doubt, and false narratives about what's possible for you. Some of the most common limiting beliefs that I've noticed are things like, I don't have what it takes to succeed at this level. I don't have enough time to do X. I don't have enough money to do Y. I need to have this, and this in place before I can really put myself out there. I'm not experienced enough yet. Prioritizing my business means sacrificing time with my family. Can you see how these types of beliefs keep you stuck? They create an attitude of fear and scarcity. And the tricky part is that most of the time, we aren't even conscious that these beliefs are running the show behind the scenes, and that they're sabotaging our efforts and decisions before we even act on them. That's why it's so important to get proactive about uncovering your own unique limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. Once you shine a light on them, you can work on reframing them into empowering mindsets instead. Here's a simple journaling exercise you can try. Grab a pen and piece of paper, then finish this sentence. My biggest fear about growing my business is, and then keep writing whatever comes to mind. No judgment, no censoring. The things that come up are likely pointing to some of your core limiting beliefs. Another approach is to look at any areas of your business or life where you constantly feel stuck or where you procrastinate or struggle. Ask yourself what thoughts and fears tend to come up for you in those situations. there are likely some limiting beliefs underlying those patterns. Once you become conscious of those narratives that are driving your actions, you can start challenging them, and even better, replacing them. So that's step one. Become aware of what your limiting beliefs are. Then you can start to release and reframe them into new constructive beliefs that actually serve your goals. Okay, we've talked about why mindset is so crucial and about how to identify your personal limiting beliefs. So now let's talk about how to proactively cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset. And really, this is not one mindset. There are several components. The first is a growth mindset. This means viewing challenges not as threats or catastrophes, because let's face it, you will run into challenges and obstacles. Instead of thinking, woe is me, view them as learning opportunities. Every obstacle you face is a chance to grow, develop new skills, and refine your approach. This is one of the reasons I advocate daily reflection, whether that's in a journal or some other format. If something isn't working, if there's an obstacle in your path, capture your thoughts about it. Why didn't it work? What are the underlying issues? What can you do differently next time? Maybe there's a workaround that will help. Learn and adjust. That mindset shift will make a huge difference. Failure, setbacks, challenges, these are all part of the entrepreneurial journey. A growth mindset keeps you resilient and focused on the solution instead of keeping you stuck in fear or self-pity. Which brings me to the next essential mindset, resilience. The most successful entrepreneurs that I know or follow fully expect obstacles as part of the process. They don't get derailed. They're not tempted to quit at the first sign of trouble. They respond with grit and creativity. They truly believe that they'll find a way over, under, around, or through the barriers. Resilience is like a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. Every time you face a challenge head-on instead of avoiding it, your resilience grows. You realize, hey, I'm tougher than I thought. And you trust yourself more the next time. One of the best ways to build resilience is by connecting to your deeper why, your vision for what you want to create in the world and why it matters to you. That purpose pulls you through the hard times and rejuvenates your motivation. One of my core values is freedom. To me, that means creating a business that lets me live life on my terms. And I want the same for you because we all deserve that. So anytime I get stuck, I remind myself of that core value, and it helps me bounce back from setbacks more quickly and refocus on the path in front of me. Another mindset you'll want to embrace is one of abundance over scarcity. So many entrepreneurs operate from this fear that there's a limited number of clients, opportunities, or resources that we're all in competition for. Part of that comes from all of the clickbaity emails, social media posts, etc., that are always talking about how the sky is falling. Here's an example. I probably have 15 emails from last week talking about how blogging is dead because of the things that Google is doing right now. Well, here's a fun fact. I've been blogging since 2007, and you know what? People have been saying that blogging is dead that entire time. That's 17 years. The people that are saying that are just trying to get your attention, so don't give it to them. And that goes for whatever the panic of the week is. Because here's the truth. There are 7 billion people on this planet. There is plenty of opportunity to go around. The scarcity mindset basically stems from an underlying belief that you're not good enough or you don't have enough. And holding on to that idea creates anxiety, stagnation, and a lack of fulfillment. It's the opposite of what you really want, right? When you adopt an abundance mentality, you see opportunities everywhere you look. So remind yourself that there are enough clients, enough money, and enough opportunities for everyone to succeed and thrive in their own way. When you do that, your focus shifts from hoarding and grasping out of fear to figuring out how to create more value and make a bigger contribution in service of others. It's a very different energy when you focus on abundance versus scarcity. Along those lines, believing in your abilities and backing yourself, having your own back, is another key mindset. This isn't about being arrogant or egotistical, but so many women in business struggle with doubting themselves. We worry about being judged or feel like we don't have enough credibility yet. Having confidence in yourself is so important, not in an obnoxious or pretentious way, but having inner trust that you have what it takes, that you're good enough now and that you can learn, grow, and figure things out as you go. You don't have to overthink or second guess yourself. At the same time, you want that confidence to be balanced with an openness to learning and continuous growth. You don't have to put on a show and pretend that you have everything figured out already. Start where you are. Finally, a crucial entrepreneurial mindset is to nurture self-awareness, because without it, all those other empowering mindsets we've talked about will be much harder to embody consistently. Self-awareness is the ability to notice and witness your own thoughts and patterns as they arise without judging them. To catch when you've slipped into a scarcity mindset, a perfectionist mode, harsh self-criticism, or some other unhelpful mental loop. The more you can realize when those thoughts creep in, the more power you have to then make a conscious choice to reframe them in a more constructive way instead of staying stuck. This takes practice. Start paying attention to your typical thought patterns throughout the day. Notice when you're catastrophizing a situation or letting imposter syndrome creep in. Then make an active choice to challenge that perspective. Here are some questions you can ask yourself. Is this thought 100% objectively true? Or is it an interpretation I'm making based on my fears and limiting beliefs? What's another more empowering way I could look at this situation that would better serve me? How can I reframe this from a growth mindset, a resilience mindset, or one of abundance? Having that moment of conscious pause and curiosity before your thoughts turn into fear-based actions will allow you to reset. And over time, you'll find it gets easier and easier to embody those entrepreneurial mindsets that enable you to create your best results. So those are some of the key mindsets I recommend nurturing on your journey. A growth mindset, resilience, connecting to your why, embracing abundance, backing yourself, and self-awareness. Okay, you know that I like my podcast episodes to be actionable. So let's look at some specific practices to incorporate these key entrepreneurial mindsets into your daily experience. One of my favorite practices is daily journaling. This involves sitting down and getting your thoughts out, whether that's on paper or in digital format. I use the Day One app on my iPad, and I sit down every morning while I have my first cup of coffee and do my daily journaling. It's part of my regular morning routine, and it helps me increase self-awareness and catch any unhelpful thoughts or limiting beliefs that have crept in. You can start just by stream of consciousness writing. Whatever's on your mind that day, the challenges you're facing, the emotions that are coming up, etc. Then go back and highlight or italicize if you're doing this on a device any thoughts or perspectives that seem rooted in scarcity, fear, self-doubt, or other disempowering mindsets. Then rewrite those thoughts in a more constructive manner. So if you initially wrote something like, I'm never going to figure this out, I might as well just quit. You could change that to something like, I'm having trouble with this right now, but I'm committed to finding a solution. I've overcome obstacles before. Mindset journaling shines a light on the background programs that are running in your brain, and actively reframing gives you power over your mindset rather than letting it run on those old default negative patterns. Another practice you can try is using affirmations or mantras. These can help you reprogram your mindset from the inside out. Affirmations are positive statements designed to rewire your beliefs and self-talk over time with repetition. You can craft affirmations around embodying a growth mindset, resilience, self-confidence, or whatever perspective you want to strengthen. Here are a few examples. I am resilient and I see every setback as a chance to grow. I embrace an abundance mindset and trust that there are opportunities for everyone to thrive. I fully back myself and know that I'm enough. And here's a tip, you don't have to come up with your own affirmations. Do a quick Google search or Pinterest search on positive affirmations or growth affirmations or whatever. You will find tons. Pick the ones that resonate with you. I have a long list of affirmations in Evernote, and every week I pick out one that speaks to me in the moment. You want to repeat your affirmations over and over. You can write them out. That's what I do. You can record yourself saying them and then listen to the recording, or just repeat them to yourself throughout the day. Try different options until you find a method that works for you. Over time, these affirmations will start reprogramming those neural pathways that we talked about earlier in the episode. Another mindset practice is visualization. This involves vividly imagining your desired success, achievement, or experience in rich detail through all 5 senses. Maybe you visualize giving an amazing keynote presentation while feeling confident, prepared, and fully trusting yourself. Or being featured on a top podcast, speaking eloquently and leaving an impact with the listeners. Or maybe what your dream day looks like once you've achieved certain revenue goals. Visualization works best if you can make it multisensory. What do you see, hear, smell, feel? And if you infuse it with positive emotions, the more powerful it becomes for shaping your mindset. Now, here's something that people don't always think about when it comes to mindset, and that's surrounding yourself with a supportive, uplifting circle. People who will encourage you and nurture those empowering mindsets we've been talking about. Years ago, I listened to an audio that had a huge impact on me. One of the statements was, "You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with," or something to that effect. What that means is the people you spend the most time with have a huge influence on your thoughts, beliefs, and even your identity, whether you realize it or not. If you're constantly around negative, fear-based energy that reinforces limiting beliefs about what's possible, it's hard to break out of that cycle and embody a success mindset. So be proactive about immersing yourself in communities, networks, and friendships with abundant, growth-oriented, tenacious entrepreneurs. People who will encourage you. Their mindsets and energy will rub off on you. Finally, always be open to learning, evolving, and applying new mindset strategies as your self-awareness deepens. Building an entrepreneurial mindset is a continuous practice. It's not something with a set endpoint. As you become more conscious of your patterns, beliefs, and inner dialogue, you may notice other areas to work on. So read books, take courses, listen to podcasts, hire a coach, whatever you need to do to take the next step. A couple of other quick mindset tips I want to leave you with. One is to cultivate a growth mindset by asking yourself, what can I learn from this anytime you face a setback or challenge? This subtle shift in framing can turn those mountains back into molehills. And lastly, gratitude is a powerful mindset booster. Science shows that gratitude releases positive neurochemicals like dopamine that fuel motivation, focus, and overall well-being. I'll drop a link in the show notes to an article from Positive Psychology that goes deeper into the science of gratitude. So build in simple gratitude practices. That might be keeping a gratitude journal or log. Personally, I keep a gratitude log, and I add one thing to it every day as part of my journaling routine. Other ideas are taking intentional pauses throughout the day to appreciate what's going well, or just bringing awareness to what you're grateful for as you start your morning. An attitude of gratitude helps make everything feel more abundant and joyful. Just remember that you have the power to design your mindset. By putting these tactics into practice, you can proactively wire your brain to be more resourceful, resilient, and confident. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. I hope you're feeling inspired to really start proactively shaping your mindset. So I want to leave you with some action steps. First, audit your current mindsets and thought patterns. Notice when unhelpful beliefs, fears, or scarcity thinking tend to arise. This will help you increase your self-awareness because you can't shift what you're not consciously aware of. Next, choose one or two of those empowering mindsets we discussed to work on. Maybe it's embracing an abundance mentality, developing more resilience, or simply having your own back. Then implement one of those mindset mastery tactics, like journaling, affirmations, visualization, or surrounding yourself with an uplifting circle. Or maybe immerse yourself in content or a community that will help instill these mindsets. Mindset work takes ongoing practice, but you've got this. That's it for today's episode of the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you're leaving with some valuable insights and, more importantly, actionable steps. Head on over to tanyakendrick.com/13 to view the show notes. You'll find links to all the resources mentioned. And if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you'd take a moment to leave a rating and review. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so that you can listen as soon as the next episode is released. Have a great day. And before you go, if you like what you hear on the Productive Entrepreneur Podcast, then come check out the Organized Business Toolbox. It's my monthly membership for solo entrepreneurs who want to feel in control and take imperfect action to move their businesses forward. When you join, you'll get instant access to the Training and Resource Vault, and a new toolbox or course drops every month. Plus, we have monthly Voxer office hours where you can privately ask me questions and get my direct feedback. If that sounds like something you need, the link is in the show notes, or visit tanyakendrick.com, and I'll see you on the inside.